Okay, up next, we're going to talk about the AVERAGEX function. And AVERAGEX is a function that calculates the average, or the arithmetic mean, of a set of expressions evaluated over a table. And this function has a pretty simple syntax with two parameters. The first parameter is the table, and this can be a physical table in the model or an expression that creates a table. This table contains all of the rows that are going to be evaluated by the expression. So for example, you might choose the calendar table or the product lookup table as this input, or potentially create some sort of other table based on an expression. Next, we have the expression that we want to evaluate, right? That's the second parameter of the AVERAGEX function. And some examples of the expression that you may want to evaluate could be something like your customer sales measure, or the sum of quantity sold, or the count of the rows in a table, something like that. So those are pretty straightforward inputs for the AVERAGEX function. One important thing to note here before we move on is that average and AVERAGEX do not count days with 0 sales when computing an average. So if you need to evaluate an average over a date range that includes dates with no sales, try using divide and count rows instead. That should yield a more accurate result for you. All right, let's head over to Power BI and check out AVERAGEX. All right, so what I'd like to do here is create a new measure, and I want to create a measure that is going to calculate the average daily sales for us. So we'll call this average daily sales. And again, I'm going to label this with AVERAGEX. So what we want to do here is start off with AVERAGEX. And the table that we want to evaluate every row for is going to be the calendar table. Calendar table is at the daily level, and we want to iterate our expression, the customer sales, for every day. So now our expression can be our customer sales measure. We'll lock this in. Let's rechange the home table to the measures table, and we'll format this as a currency. So now, let's create a matrix to be able to look at the monthly total sales and the average daily sales. Okay, so if we go to our calendar table, and let's bring in, first add year ID, and we'll look at month name. Right? So now, let's add our average daily sales measure and then our customer sales measure. Okay, expand this out a little bit. Cool. So you can see here for 2017, we did 1.6 million in total sales, and our average daily sale was almost $4,600. If we expand down a level here, we can see for January 2017 that we had almost $82,000 in sales, and our average daily sales were $2,640. So pretty intuitive there. We were able to use AVERAGEX to iterate through the calendar table, row by row by row, and calculate the customer sales for each day. And the AVERAGEX function is that simple, it's that intuitive. So you can easily create visuals like this, looking at total sales, average sales, and things like that. Let's move on to the next lecture where we're going to dig into something that's a little bit more exciting. All right, see you in the next lecture.